well, you raised the issue of a different kind of protester. Let's have a listen to the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman. She was in the Commons yesterday, speaking during the debate on the Public Order Bill. It passed with Conservative and Independent support. Let's have a listen.
It's the Labour Party, it's the Lib Dems, it's the coalition of chaos, it's the Guardian reading, tofu eating, wokerati, dare I say, the anti-growth coalition that we have to thank for the disruption that we are seeing on our roads today.
What did you think when you heard Suella Braverman speaking like that?
It's not language I would use, Jo. I think that the people who are demonstrating pouring milk in M&S are actually being counterproductive when it comes to persuading people that we have a climate change emergency. You know, we have come so far in this country to persuade people that there is a serious issue with climate change, and you know we are changing people's views on it. We are changing people's habits, and when you see people using basically criminal damage to persuade people to change their minds, it's not going to work. And I think that these people really need to have a really deep thought about what they are actually trying to achieve, because at the moment they are turning people off.
Well, let's speak to one of them, Robert Gordon, a spokesperson for the protest group Animal Rebellion. You weren't actually at the protest. We're going to show some pictures, Robert, of some of your colleagues in the group pouring milk away in Edinburgh, in London, in supermarkets like Marks and Spencer's and Waitrose, and also Tournament and Mason. We're seeing those pictures now. Robert, perhaps you can answer what Nikki was saying about your actions.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. Good morning, Jo. Thank you for having me on to talk about this really critical conversation. I think it's important to remember that we do this because we care really deeply about our families, our livelihoods, and our environment. These are the same reasons that millions of people are standing up to a system and government that have failed them, like the rail workers, barristers, and other strikers who will be soon joined by nurses and teachers this winter in strike action, and like the RSPB and National Trust, who are calling on their millions of supporters to take to the streets in opposition to this government's attack on nature.
All right.
So well, 99% have had enough.
Right.
And we are simultaneously all gone.
And you think it's justified by pouring milk, which we've just been seeing. Ian, what do you say, having seen those pictures?
Well, it's pathetic, isn't it? I mean, makes out some sort of green person who cares for the planet. That's what he's supposed to be. And yet he's fully in favour of these sorts of actions, which, I mean, who do you think actually clears up the milk after it's poured away? Answer me that.
Robert?
Look, we're doing what is necessary to achieve change. And I acknowledge 100% that when we take this kind of action, there is disruption and inconvenience, and I apologise sincerely.
Well, maybe if your people actually stayed behind and cleaned it up, that might be something. You disgust me.
We have to look at the bigger picture, and that is that we are in a cost of living and climate and ecological crisis, and the government aren't acting on that.
Kim?
Look, I just don't think this is a remotely helpful way to protest at all. I mean, I support peaceful protest. I support people's right to protest. I think this is incredibly unhelpful. I think it's disrespectful. As Ian says, who's got to clean up that mess after you've gone? You know, there's different ways to make your point, and we all know that we've got a climate emergency, but this is just not helpful, and I think it's...
Can I come back as well? Sorry, Kim, but also, you know, you talk about a cost of living crisis. Well, the amount of money that local councils have to spend clearing up the mess, the amount of numbers of police officers who have to deal with this when they should be on the streets fighting crime, and they're having to deal with a bunch of basically spoilt people who think that you know, anarchy is the best way forward, and all you are doing is turning people off your debate.
Well, let me get Robert to respond to that directly, because you're being described in a way that I'm sure you're not comfortable with, but how do you defend your actions? Particularly, you're not winning over anyone on the panel here.
Well, like I said, we're doing what history shows is necessary to achieve change. You know, these kind of tactics are how women in this country
don't like it yourself, suffragettes, mate.
No way.
Are you going to let me please finish?
Go on, Robert, finish.
Invite me on. So this wouldn't be happening if the government were taking, you know, the common sense, science-backed solutions to these crises. We should stop looking at what these activists are doing and more be asking ourselves why. Why are ordinary people stepping up and taking this action? And it's because the 99% have had enough.
Right.
We're going through a summer where, you know, we saw record-shattering temperatures where 60 homes and businesses burnt to the ground, into a winter where people aren't going to be able to afford their homes and heat their food because of unaffordable.
The thing is, Robert,
oil
what
and
people
gas.
will say is, are you not, your actions, just distracting from the core issues that you have just outlined for people? People are discussing your tactics rather than the important issue of climate change. Alison?
I was going to say, we are discussing climate change on this programme, which we wouldn't necessarily be discussing anyway.
We're not, actually.
Well, but I mean, it's got airtime, which it hasn't got. I mean, there's plenty. For what they do with criminal damage, that's breaking the law. Those people are being arrested. That's fine. Those opportunities are there. And I guess those people pour milk in Marks and Spencer's in Norwich, knowing that was a risk. Fine, but it is getting attention. And maybe we, as a society, we have to think, if people are so frustrated that they're driven to doing this sort of things, maybe we need more avenues for these people to be able to talk about how they feel.
Ian?
Well, they're going to get fewer opportunities to talk about how they feel, because I'm not going to give this guy any publicity on my show. I'm fed up with these people who think that they can disrupt the country. Fine, have the argument.
But do you think that about all protesters when it comes to those
absolutely
locking
not.
on, when
Absolutely
it comes to those
not.
gluing
When
themselves to the
Extinction
roads?
Rebellion started, I thought they were rather refreshing in the way that they were doing it. I thought they were persuading people to their cause. And then they got taken over by the usual sort of suspects in these things. And they've become a fringe group now who do things that don't convert anybody to their cause. And I'm sorry, the media, I'm not criticising you, but the media collectively falls into their trap too often by giving them the oxygen of publicity.
Robert, final word to you.
Yeah, we're not doing this for publicity. We're doing this
Well,
for
you are doing it for publicity, but yes, carry on.
Works. And instead of opting for more crackdowns that wouldn't be out of place in Putin's Russia, we should be listening to those people who are standing up and saying no and talking about the solutions. That's what we should be here talking about.
And I will happily do that with people who don't do the sort of things that you lot are doing.
Robert Gordon, thank you very much. That's Robert Gordon from Animal Rebellion. But on this...